Welcome to Shiny New Clients, the marketing podcast that helps you attract shiny new clients to your business. We'll talk about social media, what makes people buy, how to go viral, and marketing psychology, all in 20 minutes or less. Whether you're a coach, a stylist, or a wedding planner, if you've got a service-based business to sell, this is the show you need to fill your calendar. I'm Jenna Warriner, your new marketing coach, and this is Shiny New Clients.
Hey, it's me. I don't want to jinx it, but I think I've discovered the secret to business growth, and I'm going to share it with you in today's episode. Years ago, when I was in the first or second year of my business, I made this mental shift that propelled me into the next level of entrepreneurship. And at the time, I think I was pretty aware that this shift I had made was pretty monumental. And I can proudly say I have not heard anyone else give this advice, which is saying something for someone who hangs out on the internet. Not saying no one has given this advice. I'm sure they have. I can't be the first person to say this, but let's pretend I am because I want the pride points. Even if you aren't in the early stages of your business, maybe you're a few years in, maybe you're on to your second business and so on, the reason I'm bringing this concept back into my life right now is because as my business has grown, I've realized that this advice stands no matter what level of business you're at, as long as you're trying to get to the next tier. So let's go back to where I was standing when I made this realization and I made this shift. It was the first few years of my business. I think I was maybe second year in, and I started doing social media management from my cockroachy bachelor apartment on a double hand-me-down, barely functioning Mac computer. And at this point, I had upgraded in many ways. I had upgraded my life. I had upgraded my apartment, and my boyfriend and I had got an apartment together on Queen Street in Toronto. And I now had a desk. And that was a big deal too, because I'd done all of this on my old dining room table. And if you've ever seen a bachelor apartment, you know, it's the dining room table, it's the desk, it's the vanity, it's everything. And getting a desk off of Wayfair.com was a huge deal to me. I was so excited. I booked a photo shoot and I had a freelance photographer come and take pictures of me at my desk in blazers because I was just so proud of where this business was going. But I wasn't making a ton of money at that point. I was still hashing everything out and I wasn't sure of what my offers were and I wasn't sure what this business is. I was still bartending a few nights a week. I was still trying to be an actor. I hadn't gone full hog into this business. Actually, I started working with a business coach at that time, but because I didn't have enough money to pay her, we did a trade and she traded me business coaching for social media management. Some people are totally against trades like that, and I think that you got to do what works for you. Sometimes working for testimonials, working for less than you know you're worth, or working for a trade is worth it. I was also at this time hitting the pavement, bootstrapping, trying to figure out how to run this business, trying to figure out how to get clients. I got one of my biggest clients off of Craigslist. I would do whatever it takes. I started working for the bar that I worked at, doing their social media. I started getting referrals. I would take whatever I could get. I was way undercharging. I was really just making my way through, hashing everything out, and then really excited when cash would end up in my pocket at the end of the day. So here's the shift I made. The mindset shift, the approach, the change, the realization, whatever you want to call it. The most lucrative shift I made in my business was when I stopped thinking about how to make the next $100 and started thinking about the next $10,000. 10,000 at the time sounded very freaking scary. And 10,000 altogether, 10,000 a month, however you want to look at it, 10,000 a month, that sounded pretty impossible at the time. There was no way I could get to that with the way that I had been running my business at the time, which is why this realization changed everything for me. For instance, a bartending shift. I'm going to take home maybe a couple $100. But that means if I took that shift, I'd be too tired to go to the networking breakfast the next day, where I might meet someone who wants to hire me to manage their social media, which is going to result in thousands of dollars. I had clients who wanted me on site with them, and I would drive all the way across the city. If you know Toronto, I'd go from Leslieville all the way over to Mississauga, which is the worst stretch of traffic that you can face, because one of my clients wanted to see me on site. Well, at the rates I was charging, I couldn't continue to be on site with my clients. Just the math's not mathing. There's not enough time in the day to make those kind of numbers and give that kind of service. It was around this time where I was first introduced to the idea of having a one-to-many offer. So one-to-one versus one-to-many. And people told me to create a course. And I was like, what does that mean? And cut to today, I have a very successful course. I have a course called Magic Marketing Machine that shows service-based business owners how to grow on Instagram, manage your Instagram in 15 minutes a day, and most importantly, get clients from the content that you post. And now I have that program. At the time, I didn't even know what someone meant by program. And I tried to make it multiple times, multiple failed attempts at making this course. One time, I spent an entire afternoon and I just wrote out the whole course. And then I accidentally pressed the wrong button and it got deleted from the face of the planet. That was the first time when the idea of not trading time for money was introduced to me. And it was around that time where one of my clients actually was the one to tell me I needed to raise my rates. Bless some of the humans of this earth. I can't remember exactly what I was charging, but I think it was something like $250 for multiple in-person sessions where we would sit down in a random coffee shop together and I would give you a social media strategy and teach you how to implement it. And I think I was calling myself a consultant. And I met with someone and gave her like a lot in a few different sessions of sitting together like this. And on the last one, she said, Jenna, I just want to let you know that I spoke to a few different people to try and find someone to do what you're doing for me right now. And you were the cheapest. And I didn't pick you because you were the cheapest. I picked you because I liked you. And then I also picked someone else because I guess because I was so cheap, she had the budget for it, right? And she said that I was providing something that people are charging way more money for and basically doing a good job at it. And I needed to raise my rates. And in that moment, she asked if she could pay me more. And I still said no. I said, no, just, I'm going to bill you what we already spoke about. You think about it, like taking the streetcar all the way to this place, sitting down with her, taking the streetcar home, all the email correspondences, like it's probably going to break down to like $5 an hour that I was doing that for. So after that happened, I came home and said to my boyfriend, now husband, I think I'm going to make this a structured package and I'm going to charge $800 for it. And I remember he said, can you do that? And I said, I think so. Like, what are the rules? There are no rules. And now that this had been introduced to me, this concept of thinking about the next $10,000 and not trading my money for time, like it was all revolutionary for me. Instead of trying to hook small fish, you're going to start trying to hook big fish. Instead of selling 1-month packages and then scrambling next month hoping they don't cancel, you're locking people into 3-month packages. It was a whole new world. Okay, so here's the exciting part. When it was time for me to start aiming for that $100,000 mark, things changed again. The same strategies that got me to hundreds of dollars and then to thousands of dollars weren't the same strategies that were going to get me to $100,000. And now that it's time to go for that $1 million mark, things are shifting again. I found myself just this week revisiting this same concept and asking myself, what do I need to do right now to get to that $1 million in a year mark? I was getting kind of caught up in the day-to-day or the money per month or like all of these smaller goals and realizing that the same tricks that got me to multiple 6 figures aren't the ones that are going to get me to $1 million. Things need to change again. And this rule will always stand. Actually, it won't. Because once I get to 10 million a year, I'm retiring. I think that's good. I think that's just fine. We don't need to go bigger than that. At that point, what am I going to spend it on? All right, I hope that this mindset shift found you if you needed to hear it today. And if not, I hope it nestles itself away in the nooks and crannies of your brain and it shows up at the time when you most need it. If you want to learn more about working with me inside Magic Marketing Machine, by the way, there is a free training linked in the show notes called How to Get Clients from Instagram Without Wasting Hours Glued to Your Phone. And with that, have a wonderful week.